2.5 years after Natalee Holloway went missing from this island, a court said there wasn't enough evidence to support a crime. The three men once considered prime suspects were in the clear. Brothers Deepak and Satish Kalpoe remained on Aruba. Joran Vandersloot returned to Holland, where he had been attending college. It seemed no one would ever know the truth about what happened to Natalee. Then, in January 2008, 20-year-old Vandersloot sparked an international media storm. Again.
We're digging into new developments breaking in the case of Natalee Holloway.
This time, Joran had been caught on undercover videotape.
I'm telling you, honestly, I know what happened to that girl.
This footage was shot in Holland and broadcast in the U.S. by ABC News. In it, Joran says that after leaving the bar, his friends, the Kalpoes, dropped him and Natalee off at a beach.
I walk with her to the beach. I'm kissing her and stuff, and she doesn't look so hot, you know. She was looking kind of pale, too. But she wanted it. She really wanted it.
Joran's crass undercover account isn't the first time he's talked in detail about his night with Natalee. 2 years earlier, he shared a different version with Fox News. In March 2006, a well-mannered Joran admitted to lying, but said in that interview things would be different.
You know, there's one side of the story, there's another side of the story, and then there's the truth. And I'm telling you the truth.
Just as he did in his undercover account, Joran said he and Natalee ended up at the beach.
We're holding hands, talking, kissing, just having a good time.
In this interview, Joran said he anticipated having sex with Natalee, but did not have a condom.
I've heard people say, oh, that's strange, oh, that makes absolutely no sense. Any 18-year-old or 17-year-old then, when he doesn't have a condom, would have sex anyway. And I mean, that's the truth, though. I didn't have a condom with me. And that's why I didn't have sex with her, because I won't have sex with a girl without a condom.
The local teen had school in a few hours and said he told Natalee it was time to walk her back to her hotel.
The girl's still on the beach, and she wanted me to stay there with her. And it's, I want to go. I want to go home, but what do you do?
He claimed Natalee refused to leave, so he left her alone, sitting on the sand, and never saw her again.
And that's the one thing that I did wrong.
But in his 2008 version, caught on hidden camera, Joran detailed a much darker beach scene, one that went horribly wrong.
She has her hand down my pants and stuff, and all of a sudden, Patrick, like a movie, all those things she did, shaking. Yeah, a lot. So I was like, what is all this? So I tried everything, man. I tried to shake her. I was shaking the I was like, what's wrong with you, man? I almost wanted to cry. What happened to me?
Joran said he thought Natalee was dead, but wasn't sure. Yet he didn't call an ambulance. Instead, he called a friend with a boat who took Natalee's body just over 1 mile out and dumped it into the Caribbean Sea. These two versions have very different endings. In fact, Joran has changed his story so often,
Basically making up a lie, as we go along.
Casually admitting he was lying when he was caught.
There's one side of the story, there's another side of the story, and then there's the truth. If I was looking at this from the outside, I think I had something to do with it.
When a judge saw the undercover confession, he threw it out of court, saying Joran had lied so often, why should the latest version be believed? Those ever-changing stories have complicated the case as much as the media spotlight on the investigation, the lack of evidence, and the often tense relationship between Beth Holloway and the Aruban police. There is one major constant in Joran's stories. He places himself alone with Natalee on the beach, near these buildings known as the fishermen's huts. It's the same beach where the prevailing theory on where Natalee's body may have been dumped begins.
The boys had access to a boat which 2 days after Natalee was missing was taken out of the water.
Mike Zinser is an underwater crime scene expert from Florida State University who has searched extensively for Natalee.
You can see the stretch of hotels, so this is the tourist area where all the action is. And then not very far away you have but fishermen's quarters.
Right.
Now,
the morning after Natalee disappeared, a local fisherman discovered a break-in at these huts.
That morning I came here about 6:30, something like that. I opened the door, I look inside, it's strange. You see...
Everything seemed to be in place, but for two missing items. A large metal fish trap or cage, no longer in use, had rested here, untouched for months until it vanished.
You see, it was maybe, what I remember, it was about maybe 6 feet by 4, 5, something like that.
With the fish cage went a large steel knife.
This is not the real one because that one was all stainless steel, complete stainless steel. This is also stainless steel. It's about this size. Something like that. That's the only thing he lost inside there.
So nothing else was taken?
Nothing else was
Just
taken.
a knife and a fish cage.
That's exactly right.
Now, this is a big fish cage, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Which leads to a theory.
If Natalee was killed in this area, the suspects had access, obviously, to fish cage and knife, and
They knew where to go.
Exactly.
Mike Zinser believes that a friend or family member of Van der Sloot's with a boat could have helped get rid of Natalee's body.
You look over here, you'll see a lot of boats, and one specific boat that they had access to, large enough to handle that particular fish cage.
Zinser theorizes that Natalee, at 5'4", 110 pounds, was put inside the fish cage to make sure her body stayed below the water's surface.
Because of the time frame, the opportunity, and the availability of the equipment that the suspects had, it would take about 15, 20 minutes to get there.
In less than 2 hours, under cover of night, the suspects could have disposed of Natalee's body and made it back to shore. But after nearly 3 years, is there any chance that Natalee or the fish cage could still be found? The complications in finding a body lie in the currents and conditions in the waters off Aruba.
So we're about on station?
Pretty close. We're going to go ahead and go out to about 30 meters and drop anchor.
You've got 10-knot winds. You've got currents on the bottom. These aren't ideal conditions, and yet a lot of people have searched this area. You've gridded out about 7 square miles because we can see the fishermen's huts.
That's exactly
from
correct.
which everything emanates.
Relying on remote underwater cameras, sonar equipment, and dive teams, there have been several unsuccessful searches in this area. What would it take to search properly?
Use the technology as far as the technology goes, and then you use your divers to do the final recoveries. The reality of it is the ocean is very large. You can be within a meter from the area that you're searching and miss what you're looking for.
Literally, the needle in a haystack would apply because you're looking at that big a picture.
That's exactly right.
And you need some big equipment.
Exactly. Realistically, to work in that depth of water, you need a mini submarine or commercial grade ROV. And the cost of that, for the amount of time that you need to operate in this particular area to clear the locations that we described earlier, it would be substantial.
The possibility of finding anything is more than slim, but there's always a chance that someday, if Natalee was dropped here in a large cage, something might be recovered.
I just think that I'm incredibly lucky that she's never been found. Because if they found that girl, I'm in deep.
Doran claims he was lying on the undercover footage, that he was high on marijuana and just wanted to impress a friend with made-up stories. Have all the lies, coupled with no real evidence, created the perfect defense to the perfect crime?
In this case, there's absolutely not any evidence of anything, not of any foul play, not of anything like that. There's not any evidence to show that she's alive. There's not evidence to show that something happened to her.